Hey everyone, Mike from FlightClub here. I know a lot of people will be getting their PROtons this week, so I wanted to do a quick video on how to assemble the PROton. The PROton is very easy to build, but there are just some small details that may be unclear, so I wanted to make a small video on just how to build it to maybe clear up some of those small details. In the past, whenever I got a new frame, the hardest part of starting a new build was always figuring out where to put all the components. A lot of the frames you get today are just a bare frame and you have to figure out how to mount the camera, the VTX, antenna, or even LEDs. But in the PROton, you don't have to worry about any of that because every component has a place and it's well protected. So on the PROton, you can build either a skeleton mode, which is the traditional standoff mode like this, or you can go with the canopy mode like this. So this is the base PROton. Doesn't matter if you're building skeleton mode or canopy mode, all PROtons will have this. These are the 5-inch race arm options. As of now, we have a 4-inch, 5-inch practice, 5-inch race, 5.5-inch arms. And we're testing the SX arms right now, like you can see on this stretch right here. We're testing this one, and we have the 6-inch arms that we'll be testing. And once everything is good, we'll have them available on the website. But it doesn't matter which arms you're building, the PROton is built all the same way. So you just start off by grabbing these little butter mounts and you put them in the little raised holes on the nucleus plate. All you have to do is kind of just pinch the butter mounts and just kind of squeeze them in. It's pretty easy. And then you get the M3x20 screws and you just push them in through the butter mounts. So I found the best way to build quads is just using one long screw that goes through the entire stack. You'll never have to worry about broken standoffs, and because of the butter mounts, you'll never have to worry about vibrations because the screws are completely isolated from the hard frame on the butter mounts. So there's no need to soft mount motors or anything like that. So the next thing we'll do is we'll mount the arms. So flip the CNC plate upside down, and then you'll get the battery plate, and then just figure out which one is top and which one's bottom. So the side with the 4 holes is facing away from you is the front. So it'll line up like this. And these little extra holes down here are for the 20x20 stack. So if you're using a 20x20 flight controller stack, you'll use these holes right here in the center and these holes right here. Alright, to mount the arms on the PROton, all you do is grab one of these flathead screws, put it in a screw hole, and then just, well, on the arm there's a bigger hole that's offset from center. This is for the flight controller, so you can access the flight controller screw after you have the arms mounted. So just have the little nub right here facing the inside of the quad. Just line it up like that. And because the CNC plate is threaded, you don't have to worry about nuts or anything goofy like that. Alright, so this is the arms mounted on the frame. As you can see, there's no nuts. The screws go right into the threaded holes. So this little rectangular hole on the bottom of the PROton is so you can access the RX bind button. The PROton is designed to have the RX mounted right here under the flight controller stack. So by mounting the RX here, you'll lower the overall height of the flight controller, and there's still a little gap for your battery. You can see right here. And then when you mount the RX, just line up the bind button directly center of the stack, and then you'll have access to the bind button. If you're building the skeleton mode, here are the additional parts that will come with your base PROton. The base skeleton PROton comes with 25mm standoffs. Depending on how high your stack is, you can use smaller standoffs or taller standoffs. It comes with 8 M3x8 screws, TPU VTX antenna with RX ports, TPU flexible camera mount, and then a 2mm skeleton top plate. The production model of the skeleton looks different from the prototype, like right here. It's because this big hole right here is for the GoPro mount. So I designed the GoPro mount to be mounted without zip ties or Velcro. So the way this works is there's a little slot on the bottom of this GoPro mount, and then it just slides into the top plate, and you push it on here like that. And then once you screw in the standoff screws, this thing is locked in. It feels super secure. This is what it looks like on my skeleton. As you can see, it's super tough. Should take a lot of abuse and not come off. So we're still testing this right now. Once it's good and everything's okay, it'll be available on the site. So the PROton is designed to be used with a micro camera, but you can use a mini camera also, like this little prototype thing I have right here. So it does fit both cameras. So I'll show you how to use these little flexible mounts. So to mount the cameras, just take the TPU flexible mount and the camera screw and just push it into the little hole. And then just screw it onto the camera. So once you have it mounted onto the camera, it should look like this. The thick part should be pointing away from the camera, and the camera should be sitting back like this. So you just take it on your camera or on your frame, and then you push them in this way. Put one in and put the other one like this. Oops. I made these a little bit tight so they won't wiggle around. So when they're new, they're a little bit harder to get in, but once you get it in, it sits pretty good. So it goes like this, and then you'll push the top part in. So this is what the camera should look like once it's mounted. And once you put the top plate on, it does offer some protection for the camera. So this antenna mount is designed for the Axie UFL, but it can use any SMA, so you can use any antenna you want. There's just a small detail I want to go over on this one. On the sides right here, on the insides, there's a little slot, and this is for the carbon fiber plate to slide into. Once you slide it in and put the screw in, it'll lock this mount in place. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So just go ahead and slide it onto the standoffs, and then just put the hole flush with the middle part of the SMA or the mount, and then get your carbon fiber plate and slide it into that little slot. And then once you put the screw in to the standoff, the little slot sitting in the carbon fiber will prevent this antenna mount from sliding up and down. So the canopy mounts the same way as the Tokyo, with these two standoffs that go into the canopy, and then is secured with this washer and the top screw. So I'll show you how to put one of these on. Just grab the standoff with some pliers and then just push it into the canopy. You don't have to push it all the way in just yet. Just get part of it into the hole like that, and then you'll just use something flat and just push it all the way in. And you want to push it all the way in to where it doesn't sit flush, because I designed the standoff hole in here to be a little bit deeper than the standoff, and I'll show you why in a little bit. Like this, so you can see that the standoff sits inside the hole. It's for when you're mounting the screw onto the frame, that little gap right here will put some pressure on the screw and prevent this from just falling out. So this little gap acts kind of like a little lock nut for the mounting screw. So next you'll mount just get one of the M3x5s and put a washer on, and then you'll just want to put the screw into the standoff. And the way you do that is you just grab the canopy and just kind of turn it a little bit so the screw will go into the standoff flush. Make sure you want to get it in straight before you start tightening. And then once you get it in, just tighten it all the way down like that. And then once you have that in there, there's no way the standoff is coming out or your canopy is going to fall off. So you just do the same thing with the front. So the trick here is just to bend the canopy out just a little bit so the standoff can be straight with the screw. And you just gotta fiddle around with it a little bit, but it's really not that hard. Once you get it in, the screw will go in, and you can't see from the picture, but there is a little slot on the inside of the canopy to make room for that screw. So once you have your screws in, that's what it looks like. And then to mount it on the canopy, simply figure out what's the front and that's the back, and then just put it like this. Get your M3x8 screw and just screw it into the hole. And you'll feel when you reach that little gap, you'll feel some resistance, and then just keep turning until it won't screw anymore. And then that will kind of lock in this screw and prevent it from just easily falling out. This is a little trick I learned from making the injection molded canopies for the Tokyo. Just by leaving that little gap, it puts a lot of pressure on this screw after you tighten it in so it doesn't just fall out. Alright, so that's how you put together the PROtons. So make sure you hit that subscribe button because I've got a whole bunch of PROtons that I'll be doing in the coming weeks. So if you have any questions, just put them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. So as always, thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.